And we start with this story. US President Donald Trump says that South Africa's leadership is doing some terrible things after threatening to cut off all future funding to South Africa over its land expropriation policies. Now, in a post on his media platform Truth Social, Trump said that South Africa was confiscating land and treating certain classes of people very badly. Now, he also called it a massive human rights violation and warned that the United States would not stand for it.
Terrible things are happening in South Africa. The leadership is doing some terrible things, horrible things. So that's under investigation right now. We're making determination. And until such time as we find out what South Africa is doing, they're taking away land, they're confiscating land, and actually they're doing things that are perhaps far worse than that.
Donald Trump, Donald, yeah. So Ramaphosa responded to him and said, you know, with the exception of the PEPFAR program, which I'll talk about it in the last video, that which contributes about 17% to HIV/AIDS program, and the Minister of Health told us it's only for administrative purposes and paying for staff who works for NGO who follow up for and do testing for HIV/AIDS. But other than that, South Africa received no aid from America. Nothing, zero, no aid. So what money is he talking about? What money? What American dollar is South Africa receiving from America? Nothing. Even the PEPFAR program, they did say that, you know, a lot of the funding doesn't come from America anyway. So except for that 17% I spoke about in the last video. And I hope by now Ramaphosa is ready for AGOA and to finally cut ties with America. I used to wonder why South Africa still has this relationship with Americans. Like, you guys are so different. You're so different. Why you keep going on with this relationship? You don't have a relationship with these people. Start, you know, follow the relationship that you had with people who help and liberate South Africa from apartheid. America came the last minute, and all this time America was still supporting apartheid. And they had also Nelson Mandela on as a terrorist. So every time when I say somebody's a terrorist, I always think, yeah, Nelson Mandela was once a terrorist. You know, what is it? Why they're calling this person a terrorist now? Is it because that they don't like their politics? Is that because they wouldn't be able to steal the mineral resources of that country? That's why the leader is now a terrorist. I always wonder that every time. Since I learned from the history that of South Africa that Nelson Mandela was a terrorist. Yeah, he was a terrorist and was removed from a terrorist list by Barack Obama. Yep. So there is no relationship there. All you have is just have like to be diplomatic. And I like the response that South Africa doesn't receive any aid from America except for PEPFAR program. And even with that one, probably cut ties and find other partners. You don't want to have a relationship with people who are going to be bullying you. That's not a relationship. Relationship is about respect, mutual benefit. Personally, even in corporation, professionally, even in nations. If once you lose that mutual respect, mutual benefit, and it's now about bullying. Nobody likes to be bullied. People don't like to be bullied. No country will ever gain respect by allowing another country to bully them. No, it doesn't work that way anyway. So anyway, I just wanted to say here, congratulations to the cupcake. Yeah, you've actually have shown a little bit of strength in that post, responding to Donald J. Trump. That, I'll say, well done. Well done, Mr. President Ramaphosa. Yeah.
Now, for more on this, we speak to our U.S. correspondent, Sherwin Bryce Pease, who joins us virtually from New York. Sherwin, good morning. South Africa now in the sights of President Trump. He's accused South Africa of human rights violations in the context of expropriation of land and also threatening all future funding until an investigation establishes the facts. For us sitting here in South Africa, it sounds a bit incredulous.
Welcome to the Trump vortex, Sakina. Essentially, South Africa shouldn't feel too special by being mentioned here in a Truth Social post because you are in very good company. Ask the Canadians, ask the Mexicans, ask the Panamanians, ask the European Union. I mean, you mentioned a country with a foe or friend of the United States. Donald Trump is fighting tough since his inauguration, and South Africa now has been castigated in this Truth Social post, and of course the subsequent remarks that he's made on television. South Africa is confiscating land, he says, and treating certain classes of people very badly. It's a bad situation that the radical left media doesn't even want to mention. A massive human rights violation. At a minimum, it's happening for all to see. The United States won't stand for it. We will act. Also, I will be cutting all future funding to South Africa until a full investigation of the situation is completed. And remember, Sakina, this kind of language comes in a broader context in terms of Republican members of the House of Representatives and the Senate that have identified South Africa. They have South Africa in their sights. There was legislation passed in the last Congress seeking to review the bilateral relationship between the United States and South Africa based on certain South African foreign policy positions, in particular Russia, in particular Israel, the relationship with Israel as it pertains to the Palestinian cause, the war in Gaza, the efforts at the ICJ. So, very much a concern right now is to watch the Rand, watch how the Rand responds here, but also additional pressure in terms of the broader picture stuff, in terms of South Africa's readmission into AGOA, which is up for renewal in October or September this year. So there is a lot at play. And don't forget, we recently spoke to South Africa's ambassador to Washington, Ibrahim Rasool, and he conceded, Sakina, that this was one of the most difficult assignments that he's taken on behalf of South Africa in his career. And this, I think, this post from Donald Trump today and the subsequent remarks very much speak to what the ambassador was saying in that conversation.
So, Sherwin, what does this mean practically? Given what Donald Trump has said, does this mean that the funding, for example, is immediately stopped, or is this just a signal of what is to come?
What we know in terms of what happens in moments like this is that there's a lot of confusion, and so a number of these aides and the people that have to go and implement these things now need to find out what he meant, what was the catalytic moment for why South Africa now. And so I think there are a lot of people behind the scenes now seeking to get a better understanding of this. I've already texted South Africa's ambassador to say, is there some early reaction here? But I'm sure DIRCO is still digesting this information. I'm sure they weren't expecting to be starting their Monday this way. So I think there'll be a few hours or a few days to really come to terms with what the president meant here, and whether it will, of course, implement policy moving forward, right? We saw the suspension through executive order of all foreign aid, and then of course it had implications for humanitarian organizations, healthcare organizations in South Africa in relation to PEPFAR and the distribution of ARVs, and we saw them provide a waiver for that. So would it be something like that? I will tell you this, in 2018, when Donald Trump was last president, Sakina, he also tweeted August 22nd, 2018, I've asked my Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, to closely study South Africa, the land and farm seizures and expropriations, and the large-scale killing of farmers. Quote, South African government is now seizing land from white farmers. He obviously had just watched something on Fox News and tweeted about it, and not very much came from that. So that was that's our early example. Let's see how this plays out. But Donald Trump is fighting with everybody. South Africa is certainly not unique in that regard.
Thank you guys for listening. Until next time, bye.